Why does it always have to be about race? It's always about race, always about racism and hate. And anyway, we'll talk about that and more here on the A Show Extra. Good afternooning. Good afternooning. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whenever you're listening to this. My name is Big Ray Hernandez. As you know, the reporter of the people, the man with the plan, Big Ray, here to stay to talk some current events today. And I am not alone, ladies and gentlemen. I am joined by my good friend, conspiracy analyst, all-around good guy, the founder of the Infinite Fringe Podcast, the founder of America Unplugged, founder of just like a whole bunch of cool shit. We're going to talk about that in a few, but it's my buddy, Billy Ray Valentine. What's going on today, buddy?
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I'm doing pretty good. We're both from New York. I'm doing pretty good. That's how we talk over here. But anyway, man, thank you so much, man, for joining me on this little show we have here. It's a little, for those joining us for the first time, this is the A Show Extra. If you guys didn't watch the A Show last night, we had on Brandon, a.k.a. Miss Tia, the Transarchist, and we also had on, myself and April, had on the great, I don't know, you guys might remember him as Damian Sandow in WWE. We had Aaron Stevens on, currently with the NWA, and we had a really, really cool, interesting show, a lot of fun, a lot of conversation. Actually, Billy Ray Valentine, you jumped into the chat to yell at me.
Not true. That never happened.
You jumped into the chat to yell at me. Isn't that true?
I don't know what you're talking about. Well, you were saying some things that Biden is the worst president ever, and I'm like, what the hell? These are talking points.
Absolutely
that
true.
are given to people that tend to subscribe to the alternative media and now lean quote unquote conservative.
Is that what
there are no real conservatives anymore?
When you see the stumbling,
but these are talking points that are given up. So I listen to them and I hear them. I hear them over and over again. People talking about Joe Biden. And don't get me wrong, Joe Biden is freaking awful.
Terrible.
Right? But this is a visceral reaction given to you because and people of your mindset.
What is my mindset?
Are the devil.
What is my mindset?
You know your mindset. The Democrats are the devil.
You know I voted for Biden, right?
And that automatically pushes you to say that Joe Biden is the worst president ever in the history of see, this is all about a divide, right? If you want to get about it, if you want to get into it, right? It's all about a divide.
Divide.
They've succeeded in implementing that divide and making people believe that they are fighting on the right side of that divide. This is what this is all about. Right. So everybody points the finger at Joe Biden, but nobody points the finger at the conservative movement. Everybody's sucking off DeSantis or Trump or whatever his freaking name is. What do I care what his name is? I don't care.
I do. He'll be your president one day.
He's not my president. I don't vote for these people. You, on the other hand, that's very different.
I voted.
You are involved into the process.
Billy Ray Valentine. I have to stop you. You know that I voted for Joe Biden. I pushed for Joe Biden. I was hoping for change. I was not a fan of Donald Trump, and I was bit in the ass. So my mindset is not that of somebody who watches Fox News on nonstop and listens to this and that. It's just my personal opinion based on what I see every single day, taking the train on the subway, here in New York City, paying $10 for eggs, not being able to fill up my car, so on and so forth. I mean, it's experience. It's what I see. There are some people I have to agree with you. There are some people that are sheep and they just go about, they listen to Tucker Carlson and like, all right, yeah, what that guy says is 100% true. Not knowing that Tucker Carlson is working for the big bad booty daddies as well. So I agree with you, but I disagree. I'm telling you based on my personal opinion. We have Colin Wysong, the artist returns, who just jumped in the chat. People will slowly jump in the chat as we go along, Billy Ray Valentine. But you're talking about the great divide or a divide. Am I correct?
Yes. But also, what I I've been living in New York almost as long as you have. You got a few years on me, not too much, right? It hasn't really changed, okay? So the media, it hasn't, right? With Giuliani cleaned up stuff, but come on, there's always homelessness on the trains. There's always homeless
not at
people
this
on the
extent.
trains. There's always, of course, this is the media has hyped it up to a point.
It's not where media, people it's what I see.
Okay, sure, okay. You also voted for Hillary Clinton at one point. I understand.
I did
that you were on that side, right? And
never
and
voted for her.
You've flipped, and now you're a born again Trumper, right?
No, I voted for Trump.
You are a Trump cultist. You've become this.
you know,
and I'm trying. This is an intervention.
How dare you.
That we're carrying out right now with Big Ray Hernandez, trying to snap him out of it, right? Snap out of it, dude.
Stop.
Ron DeSantis isn't going to be the savior of anything.
No, I don't think so.
Nothing. Okay, nothing's going to change. Joe Biden. Oh, you were looking for change, voting for Joe Biden. That was your first problem.
It's going to be Kennedy.
That's another thing. Everybody's, oh my God, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He does not stand a chance at getting the nomination.
So you say. They said the same thing about some little black guy named Barack Obama back in the day.
No, they didn't. Barack Obama was slated to become the president of the United States.
You think so?
The Democrat. Come on. Well, you're new to this, more or less. So
I'm new to politics. I've been on the earth 50 years.
Yeah, but you haven't paid attention. Now you're paying attention.
20 years.
There's a difference.
I've been paying attention for about 20 years.
Yeah, you're actively paying attention. You've been involved, and this is part of the operation, right? Is to get people involved into the left-right paradigm. It's to get people invested into the political process so they can think that they're actually invoking change when they're not doing anything of the sort, right? So now people are more invested than ever because of the actions of one Donald Trump. And because of how inept Joe Biden is. Now people are like, oh my God, we got to go vote, record voting people, right? Unless you think the whole thing was stolen.
Right. He's the worst.
Which is another thing. Right. And people on the right point at the left and say that they're the devil. People from the alternative media point at the left and say they are the New World Order. They are the Illuminati.
That's what they say.
We're good on this side, but them over there, they're the bad guys. And unfortunately, Mr. Big Ray Hernandez, you've been incorporated into this operation. And it's a very sophisticated operation, top level operation that you have been colonized by. I get it. Listen, I'm not saying that I'm excluded from that.
Oh,
okay. I've probably been indoctrinated in some way, shape, or form also.
Self-evident, right?
Just saying.
Yeah. Well, by the way, for those wondering who is this young Puerto Rican man yelling at me, Billy Ray Valentine, why don't you quickly tell the chat or the people watching for the very first time on Rumble? We are on Rumble, Billy Ray. You like Rumble, right? You think Rumble's a cool place to be? Is that correct?
Yeah, I think you can build an audience on Rumble. I like Rumble.
Why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself really quickly before we jump into this other great divide that's been going on, not just here in this country, but all over the world. But we'll focus in on New York and we'll focus in on the United States of America for this particular episode.
See, there is no other great divide. There is only one great divide. It's like, let me put it to you in New York terms.
Oh shit.
Right? Yeah. New York has the greatest pizza in the history of the world, bar none, hands down.
Absolutely.
Right? Can't be debated. Okay. I don't care if you're from Chicago, it doesn't matter.
That's not pizza.
That's a casserole. So bring your ass over to New York and get yourself a real pizza pie, right?
A real slice.
And you order one pie.
Oh.
But that pie has 8 slices. And you can slice it up into 16 if you want.
If you're cheap.
And more than that, right? One pie, several different slices. It's one divide. Several different branches of that divide. But it is one divide. Go ahead, sir.
Well, I'm still waiting for you to tell the people who you are.
Well, for those of you that are annoyed as hell at me right now, my name is Billy Ray Valentine.
Yes.
And I'm being a dick on purpose. Because
he's a Spanish god.
Actually, you know what? I'm kind of a dick sometimes to Big Ray, because I have to be. I have to give him tough love.
It's not love.
I have to, come down on him and tell him, hey, get it together, snap out of this nonsense, dude.
This is horrible. This is hurting my
soul.
Snap
out of it. So I run a little podcast called The Infinite Fringe. I do another podcast called America Unplugged.
They're pretty big, actually, guys.
My guys over at the PW Hustle, what's up? And the Wednesday locker room, I get into a little bit of professional wrestling too. But I'm tired of the nonsense. I'm tired of the left-right paradigm. I'm tired of people saying, "Oh my God, the evil Democrats are sucking the blood of people. Joe Biden is a clone."
True.
And he is the worst thing that can ever happen. That's denying everything that came before him. Right. Like all the economies in shambles. Like, you think this happened overnight?
No, Obama started it.
You think people have been divorcing themselves from the United States dollar overnight?
Right. This all started with Obama. We know this. Okay, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen. So listen, man, let me just jump into this quick story. I'm going to actually take a little video here of Billy Ray Valentine. This just happened here in New York City a couple of days ago. Actually, I think about 5 or 6 days ago.
Right.
And we'll just take a look at this video. There's a young lady. She was a health worker. She was a nurse. She was anointed. She was anointed in 2020 as an essential worker, Billy Ray Valentine. She was anointed as a saint, being one of those people that braved the subway, braved the coronavirus. And she went to work and she saved lives, but not this time, ladies and gentlemen. Now she has been labeled a Karen. She has been labeled a racist. She's been labeled a thief. I'm going to take this video courtesy of the liberal hive mind, and it's the video of this young lady fighting for her right to bike. Let me just that
was funny. Not the situation. Just Ray's delivery of the situation was funny to me.
Thank you.
Just to be clear.
The situation is not funny at all. But here is the young lady, and we're going to just take a quick look at this. Again, this is courtesy of the liberal hive mind. I did send him a message to use this footage off of his YouTube channel, and he didn't reply, so we'll wing it.
So we're
Here we go.
using it anyway.
Help me! Please help me!
This is not your bike.
Please help me!
This is not your bike. This is not your bike.
Please help me! Help! Please get off!
Hey, what the fuck is going on, bro?
Yo, don't take it, bro.
You can stop me anytime during this video you want me to, okay?
This is the first time I'm watching, so
okay.
In the bike, bro.
Hey, now you're not getting the bike.
Help!
You're not getting
Get
the
off
bike.
me,
I'm
dude.
not.
Why you took his phone? What's wrong with you?
You're not
Don't touch
touching
his
my
phone.
phone.
Do not touch his phone.
I'm not touching you. You put in your stomach.
I'm going to stop it real quick. She says here, you're hurting my fetus, my unborn child. What a lot of people didn't know was that this nurse is also 6 months pregnant, coming off of a 12-hour shift as a nurse. She is surrounded by 5 or 6 young African-American gentlemen, stating that they actually paid for the city bike that she unlocked with her cell phone through an app. Let's continue to see how this plays out.
In my head.
No, dude, stop. No, dude, stop. No. I said no. I said sit down.
Please help me!
She's just crying.
You're not crying. I got
Stupid.
I got you on
My
video.
bike. I'm drunk.
Wait, you put it out? Hey, that's on. You put it out? That's on.
So as you see here, Billy Ray. So real quick, we're halfway through this. What's your observation, really quickly?
I don't know what's going on. She looks like she's being aggressive right now, but I don't know what's going on.
You think she's being aggressive?
She's the one pushing people out of the way.
Well, I mean, they are surrounding her.
They're not. I see her physically pushing somebody out of the way.
Okay, we'll continue.
I see right now.
All right, fair enough. We'll continue.
That's fine. You put it out.
This is my bike. It's on my account.
Yes,
Please move.
All right, so why don't we reset the bike?
I'm not resetting the bike.
It's his.
Reset it. I'm gonna pull it out on your account.
You're an actor.
I don't give a fuck.
This is my fake crying. It's fake crying. Stop fake crying.
Hey, stop touching me. I don't touch you.
Hold up.
Hey, stop touching me. Stop touching me.
Why don't you take this bike?
Stop touching me.
I will.
Exactly. So take it.
Fuck out of here.
So take it.
Your baby gonna come out with
Look, how you stop crying?
Your baby girl will come out retarded. I'm just gonna make sure he heard that.
Not a tear came down, miss.
They're accusing her of not crying. All right, they're basically calling her Karen, an actor, an actress. One gentleman, I don't know if you can see his hand actually holding the bike as she's trying to pull out the bike that she allegedly unlocked. But there is no alleged. We find out more moving forward. But it's almost done. Look my dick.
Now it's hard to tell what's going.
All right, so Billy Ray, now you said that you felt that she was the one being the aggressive one here, right?
Well, she was the one physically pushing somebody out of the way with her body, right? That's what I saw. That she was, maneuvering herself onto the bike, right? So they were filming this, right? It was the guys that were going ahead and filming this. They're not going to film themselves doing something stupid. Yes, they were saying stuff. It was a frustrating situation, and she was saying stuff as well. Not
like
it doesn't sound like she was cursing, but still,
help me.
Right. I don't know. It's just chaotic, right? So
right.
I don't know who has what. Like she says she did it, and they say they did it. Like they both laid claim to the bike, right?
Okay, I want to stop you there because this is perfect. This is actually perfect. So this is your first time ever seeing this video, and the reaction that you're having is a very fair reaction, Billy Ray Valentine. You don't know what's going on here. You don't know for sure, but I'm going to pull this up here. Are you familiar with this gentleman by the name of Ben Crump? This is a tweet that he has since deleted. He says, "This is unacceptable. A white woman was caught on camera attempting to steal a city bike from a young black man in NYC. She grossly tried to weaponize her tears to paint the man as a threat. This is exactly what type of behavior that is endangers so many black men in the past." And we go on. We see another clip. This is people don't even know what's going on. New York City Hospital Karen paid for city bike at center of viral fight. Black man lawyer said. It goes on and on and on. We're going to get into that real quickly, but this is the tweet that already, comes out. This guy Ben Crump's already, and this is not just one tweet. There were several tweets. Take a look at Twitter, and I deleted. I actually cut out the people who actually tweeted these tweets for their protection. Whether she paid or not, fake tears, cries for help will weaponize her privilege and endanger a black man. We move on. She would have given them the bike regardless of who paid. Her privilege in this is disgusting. We move on again. Lies. She stole the bike and tried to get that young man murdered. And I'll put the last one here. She's gross. She knew how to take her badge. What is it? She knew how to take her badge off, hoping she would not be identified. She was vilified, Billy Ray Valentine. Absolutely vilified here. You think that's fair?
People are going to do this. Like, I mean, this is what people do now. Right. And largely because racial relations have been weaponized in this country on both ends. Right. There is Black Lives Matter. And then there is the alternative right that was a reaction to things like Black Lives Matter. Right. So every action has a reaction. Right. So now you have extremists on both sides. When in all actuality, I think most people just want to get along. Right. But that isn't featured in the news. What is featured in the news is this, right? And then we take the tweets of a select few, highlight them, like look what's going on here, and you get people pissed off at each other. I think, and this is just my opinion, that what has been going on here in the United States as far as race relations has largely been manufactured.
Very good.
I think that while it does exist,
you believe systemic racism exists, but not at the let's say the volume that they're trying to portray in the media.
Systemic racism is system-wide racism. I don't know if I subscribe to that point of view. I believe that within the system, there are aspects of racism, but I don't know if the system itself is totally racist, or if it maybe at one point it was. I don't know if it is that way anymore. And the perception is that there are, there's white privilege and white people are taking advantage of it, right? And that there's these white supremacists. I've never met a white supremacist or a white supremacist in my life.
Right. You'd probably be dead though if that happened.
Right. Well, not that I know of. Right.
They're not good people. I'm just saying.
What's up?
White supremacists are not good people. They probably would have tried to kill you. You're kind of brown.
Yes, absolutely. Listen, you and I were here when Giuliani was in office and when Bloomberg was in office, and we got stopped just based on the way we looked.
That's true.
I got stopped by the cops at least 3 times.
Bag searched. I had my bag searched a couple times. Sure.
The whole deal,
Sure.
The whole deal, get against the wall, just based on the way we looked. And I see it happen still here to African American and Latin American people, left and right. It still happens. So it's not to say that racism isn't a thing, because it absolutely is, right? But I think it's being blown up in order to keep us at each other's throats, in order to keep us divided, when in all actuality, we admire each other way more than we hate each other. I would say it's not even close.
I agree with you.
Right.
I agree with you 1,000%. See, the reason why I love the way you reacted to this video, and it literally fit exactly what my thought process is regarding this whole situation and this race baiting, which we're going to get into the definition of what I believe the definition of, and I was going to ask you what the definition of race baiting is, but before that, this came out. It says the lawyer of a Manhattan hospital worker accused of taking a city bike of a young man who claimed that paid for the two-wheeler provided receipts and says shows she was the one who purchased the ride in a viral incident. So basically, long story short, Billy Ray Valentine, I'll just break it down not to read this. She did purchase the bike. The receipt showed that the bike was pulled out by her, pushed back, and then pulled out again. This was during the whole struggle. It was on her account. Is it hard to believe that it is possible? Because, these young kids nowadays, they go out there, Gen Z, they have nothing better to do, around 5 o'clock in the evening. They go out and they pull their pranks. These pranks that they do, like the idiot the other day who was pouring what looked like gasoline on people's car and saying, fuck your car, I'm going to burn your car. I don't know if you've seen that.
I don't.
And it was actually water. And then he did it to the wrong old man. And the old man pulled out a Glock and says, you're lucky. I almost fucking took your life. You almost got shot.
Wow.
That literally happened. If you don't believe me, just
believe it.
Google it. Yeah. Is it possible that these kids were maybe playing a prank?
Or maybe I don't think they were playing
a
prank. I think maybe they thought, and this is the part of me that gives everybody the benefit of the doubt, and maybe that's not the best way to act, but it's who I am. Maybe there was a glitch in the system. It's very possible. And both of them had a claim to this bike. Maybe the African-American gentleman thought he had a claim to the bike and it didn't go through. And only the nurse had to claim to the bike. I don't know. It doesn't seem to me like they were trying to just take the bike from her. They were arguing back and forth about how, and then they started taping it, which is smart, by the way. If you are a minority running around New York City or anywhere, African American, Asian American, Hispanic American, anytime something breaks down, something pops off, break out your phone, start filming it immediately. I used to not feel this way. Maybe you don't have to do that, but you absolutely do. I tell my kids all the time, I'm like, if something happens outside, you break out the phone immediately. It may not necessarily be racially motivated, but police brutality is certainly a thing.
Sure.
And it goes unpunished. Absolutely. And a lot of times, whatever happens with the police is chalked up to racism instead of dealing with the police themselves and their lack of restraint and what they need better training. Colin Wysong is here,
ladies and gentlemen. Without an invite, without any notice, this gentleman Colin Wysong has joined us. He is one of the founders of the Ridiculously Random podcast, my former co-host who has no time for me anymore. Colin, welcome to the show. Before you talk, I want to ask you a question real quick, guys. Is it racist for me, before I forget this question, because it's a very important question, is it racist for me to think that there's a possibility that these young men, because they do it, I've seen it, my mother still lives in the projects, and I go down and I see city bikes stolen and left in the streets all the time. Is it possible that these kids were just kind of waiting around to see somebody who was weak enough that they could take a city bike from?
Well, that's a hell of an assumption to make.
I'm just saying, though.
Why are we making that assumption?
It was one hell of an assumption to make that this young lady was a Karen and a racist, and she was trying to steal the bike from 5 grown 20-year-old kids.
Are you making it any better by making a baseless claim on the other side of the argument?
What if it was 5 white boys?
What if it wasn't?
Well, that's what I'm asking you. Does it make me racist? Go ahead, Colin, jump in.
What if I have information to put into this debate that neither of you know about?
Go ahead.
The young man's sister, not being a lawyer or anything, did a TikTok where she put out the receipts from his phone, the screenshots from his phone, showing how everything went down, and she recanted his side of the story. In the first screenshot she shows where he first rents the bike and gets on it and rides to where he goes and docks the bike. And you can see it because it just like with an Uber ride, it traces where you go. You can see your start and your finish point.
Okay.
At 7:19, he docks the bike. Now, why does he dock the bike? Does he not want to pay for it while he's not riding it? You know, him and his friends are hanging out in that location. He puts the bike back. Now, as soon as you dock the bike, that's not your bike anymore. That's a public bike. Anyone can come grab the bike. Now, the sister says that when the lady came out, there were multiple bikes at the rack. So she could have picked any other bike, right? Now, she goes and picks the one that he's nowhere near, supposedly, right? And goes and gets the one that he returned. So it's no longer in his possession. It's not his bike. It's up for grabs for anyone to get. Now, if this kid did ride this bike several miles to where he's at now, he may think, oh, crap, if this lady takes that bike, I'm not going to have another bike to be able to get back home.
Interesting.
Right? So now all of a sudden it's a, hey, that's my bike. I rode it here. That's my bike. Give it to me. Well, he docked it. So legally, it's not his bike anymore. So she's trying to get on and scan it at 7:24. You see her scan the bike into her app. So it becomes her bike. But as you see them struggling, you see him with his hand on the bike, and you actually see him physically trying to cover up the part where you scan the bike. So at one point in time, you see her where she scanned the bike and the light is on, meaning that's her bike. So legally, that's her bike. Now, in the tussle of them kind of fighting back and forth with each other, you see it, he pushes the bike back into the dock. So when the bike goes back in the dock, the light cuts off and it's no longer her bike anymore. And then he quickly scans it and it comes back under his possession at 7:25.
Oh, wow.
Something like that, right? Mm-hmm. Now, now this is where the sister kind of messed up. She shows a screenshot of his second owning of the bike. He had the bike from 7:25 to 7:31. He didn't go anywhere. He stayed right there at that bike rack.
Right.
Kept the bike for 6 minutes, put it back, and then all of this stuff happened, right? He didn't rent the bike again. So literally, we don't know. This is a very clear case of he said, she said. Mm-hmm. But if you and again, Billy Ray, I get your point. People are going to take, hey, it's this white nurse. She's pregnant. She just got off working a 12-hour shift. She just wants to get a bike to get home, right? So there's that. You're going to play that sympathy card. But again, here's this young kid who's like, now how am I going to get home? This lady's taking probably one of the only bikes because, again, he rode there with his friends. There's clearly 3 or 4 of his friends there with him. So they might have had those other bikes that they would have been riding back as well. Nobody knows. Again, and then the people that were recording the incident, mm-hmm. they didn't actually start recording until about 7:24, 7:25. So they missed a good 5 to 6 minutes of when he docked the bike to when all of the tussle and everything started happening with the nurse and everything. So there's definitely 2 sides to the story. Now it's up to you which side that you want to believe. The lady's not pressing any charges. She's not taking this to court. So we won't ever find out in an actual court.
She's not taking them to court, but she is taking.
I don't think she's pressed charges on anybody just yet for anything yet.
She's taking the media to court.
Yes, but she's not pressing charges against that kid.
This is the
in a sense.
The kid. Listen, this isn't about the kid.
He's done nothing wrong. Nobody's did anything wrong.
Here's the thing, Billy Ray Valentine. This isn't about the kid. This isn't about the disagreement. This isn't about whose bike it is really and whose bike it isn't. It's about the fact that the media immediately jumped on this and made this a race issue. Billy Ray, your thoughts real quick.
Yeah, that's what they do. That's what they do. They'll make it a race issue even if it's not, But we are also not making it any better by speculating on in an opposite way of what the media was doing by calling this woman a Karen. We're not making it any better by pointing the finger at the African American gentleman, and speculating, baselessly speculating at that point, using stereotypes, in my opinion. And that only feeds into what's going on, right? Nothing racial was going on here.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing racial was going on here. But that's how everything is built. Everything. And my biggest issue with Black Lives Matter is when the cops kill a white guy, where's Black Lives Matter? Where are they? Nowhere. And they're like, well, it's Black Lives Matter, but it's the same freaking cause. It's the cops killing a human being. They do nothing about it. So it's a bullshit organization, in my opinion. Right?
And they're going bankrupt, Billy Ray. There's news that just came out recently that they're losing money and going to bankruptcy. But the lady, Patrice, whatever her name is that runs it, she still has all 5, 6, 7 of her mansions that she's bought with all the money. She's not going to sell that to save Black Lives Matter. She's not going to do any of that.
It's disgusting, to be honest with you. Taking advantage of a people and a race. It's a disgusting thing. So that's what, in my opinion, that's what the media serves to do, is to divide us. That's why they highlight things like this. Mm-hmm. Things like this happen all the time. Yeah. When they can get a story and get people pissed off, get a reaction out of people and get clicks, they're gonna put it out no matter what. And this is what they intend to do, and they've done it. They've done it to a degree that I've never seen before in my life. And I don't know how we come back from it. Okay. And it stems from racism, sexism, ageism, political divide. I mean, it's all there, everything. And I think the media is largely responsible for it.
Well, BRV, do you think that the fix and the issue would be, and it's going to be hard because it's going to be up to the individual person. But when you see a lot of this stuff, you have to ask yourself, am I making an emotional decision? Am I reacting emotionally, or am I reacting with thought? Have I thought about this before I say what I'm doing and reacting? A lot of times it's emotional, and they know that if people react on emotions, they won't think logically, they won't think critically. They'll just do the first thing that comes to their mind because they're just reacting on emotion and instinct.
Exactly.
And they've used a lot of what you've talked about before with Cambridge Analytica, a lot of these things to know psychology. Right. Human beings work on patterns. We all work on patterns. Everybody does it, psychology. And do you think the military and the government and the people that do this, that they don't know this, that they're not going to use that to their advantage?
Right.
Now it's in the mainstream media where they put Trump on. That's the biggest thing right there, is putting Trump. That gets so many people are either 100% hate him or 100% like him. And there's that emotional divide that happens. And that's where none of this is going to change until people start telling themselves, am I reacting emotionally to this, or am I reacting logically to this?
Right.
Well, then go ahead. I'm sorry, Billy Ray. Go ahead.
No, nothing, man. He's absolutely right. And it's really hard to not act emotionally. And people don't recognize, or they don't take the time to recognize that they're acting emotionally, and they don't think about it. And that, just as you pointed out, is the basis of the Cambridge Analytica app operation. They said, straight up, we are going to get people to believe in Donald Trump. Is he was the object of it, but this was constructed before Donald Trump. But we're going to get people to believe in this person so much that when they attack him, you're going to feel it as if it's an attack on yourself, and you're going to react emotionally, double down, triple down, quadruple down, because you don't want to get insulted and you don't want to be proven wrong. And all of these things, they bring it out, right? And you mentioned how these people, the powers that be, they've been studying this for a long, long time, right? B.F. Skinner and operant conditioning, right? All of this stuff is stuff that's been going on for a long time, and they're very aware of what makes us tick, and they figured it out, man. and I always say it, the genie's out of the bottle at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to put it back in. And people are fully indoctrinated, mind colonized, man. Mind colonized. They came out and said it, the U.S. Army with the Ghost in the Machine operation that they're running, recruiting people for mind operations. This is public. You know, so this is what's going on here, in my opinion. And it stems to the highest level of control here in the United States and the world. You know, the SEL group that was the parent company of Cambridge Analytica was from the UK, or I think the SEL group may still exist. Cambridge does not in name, but there are several others that have popped up that are doing the same thing. You know, and that's it. That's what it is, man. Steve Bannon is a big proponent of order out of chaos. And this is what they intend to do. Order out of chaos, right? A new order will rise up from the ashes like a phoenix from what's going on now. And we're going to continue to fight each other. We're going to continue to be at each other's throats. And we are going to lend our energy to people that do not have our best interest at heart. And we will continue to do that. And we will defend them.
Well,
we will defend them, even though it doesn't serve us to do so, because we're completely colonized. And you're right, we act emotionally, and that's not hard to break. I mean, it's very hard to break. I act emotionally. Everybody does.
We still do it. We're human beings. Nobody's perfect.
All right, let me jump in real quick. So, you know, not only this situation with the bike, but this is an ongoing thing. Just recently, we know that there was a gentleman by the name of Jordan Neely, who was a homeless man. Who had an extensive and violent record, was unfortunately killed in a train. A lot of people believe it was self-defense. Some people like this believe it was murder. Ocasio-Cortez, or AOC as she's known, says Jordan Neely was murdered. But because Jordan was houseless and crying for food in a time where the city is raising rents and stripping services to militarize itself, while many in power demonize the poor, the murderer gets protected with passive headlines. No charge. It's disgusting. I was actually surprised that the mayor of this city, who I'm not very fond of, he took a different approach, and he says Neely's last words. And this is Ocasio-Cortez again. Let me read her statement. She says Neely's last words were literally about how he was going to jail. It was easier accessing the social safety net. Blah, blah. Anyway. The point is, the mayor himself said, why don't we wait and see how this plays out? Ocasio-Cortez immediately tweeted this out, that he was murdered. You said, Billy Ray Valentine, that we're giving basically power to these people. And these are the people that are leading us into this anger. People like Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton's been doing this for decades. Let's take a look at this really quickly. This was at a church. This was at the viewing or the funeral service of Mr. Jordan Neely. Listen to Al Sharpton's words.
That the man that killed Jordan was a good Samaritan. Well, and they've raised over $2 million for this man. Well, I know Governor DeSantis that you putting Black history and LGBTQ and Latino out of the school. But I have a Bible to put in the governor's office.
Do you?
Because apparently you don't know what the Good Samaritan was. Jesus told the parable of the Good Samaritan. He said there was a man beaten and robbed, Aunt Mildred, and put by the side of the road.
I mean, what a disgrace.
I agree with the hooded guy.
Well, and that's the other thing. So Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, not to say that Johnny Cochran was a Black lawyer, but if you got him to represent you, normally people would say you were probably guilty. Ed Crump, it's like when these people come to the forefront, you should already know that the grift is on. And there's other people too that when they start tweeting that type of stuff out, like Dr. Umar, like these type of people, when they get involved, or that Tariq Nasheed guy, when they get involved, you should already know that it's a grift. I mean, how many times has Al Sharpton been in trouble for things? How many times has Jesse Jackson been in trouble for things? And yet they still stand up in front of everyone and act like they're the moral authority on everything. And that's where it's like, we got to realize that these guys, just like AOC, it's like you're showing what she's saying, but how much stuff has she done too, where she's literally in a white pantsuit crying in front of a fence, like where there's no immigrants. There's nothing there.
They're playing basketball on the other side. These kids.
Or she goes to the Met Gala with a dress that says eat the rich or tax the rich or whatever. And you have to know rich people to go to something like that. Like,
you have to be rich.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
So a lot of these people are hypocrites, and they trot them out on news, on CNN, MSNBC, on all these major news. They get viral, and it's a lot of the same stuff. Like, and people still give them a platform to speak on, and people still eat it up like it's real. And that's where it's like, we got to educate people and not promote this stuff, and just let them know, like, hey man, when you see an Ed Crump, know that there's probably not a lot of good intentions there with that man being there.
Well, he's being sued as well. If I'm correct.
Oh, he should be.
And Ben Crump.
Oh, there's a mayor in North Carolina who said some crazy stuff about the lady. And I'm like, yo, we've got like a town in North Carolina where we've got one of those like racist black mayors. Yeah, we do. It's crazy.
Billy Ray, you were pointing at yourself. You wanted to say something, brother. Go ahead.
I don't know. I forgot what the hell I was going to say, but I'll chime in anyway. Where was Al Sharpton when this guy was homeless?
Exactly.
Where the hell was he? Where were all these people when this guy? Yeah, when this guy was homeless, nobody gave a damn, right? That being said, I do think he was murdered, right? I don't think, I know. That is murder. He was murdered, bro. That was murder.
The difference between manslaughter and murder, my friend.
Dead. The guy is dead.
There's a difference between no.
It's a legal difference between murder and manslaughter. Technically, he did murder.
Okay, let me ask you a question. If somebody's coming at me, I'm not saying that Neely had a weapon, but somebody's coming at me with a weapon, right? I take the weapon away from the person. I stab him in the face.
There is no weapon, so cut that
Listen
out of the
to me.
I'm just saying, like,
okay,
it negates the analogy.
This guy, all right, this guy throws a punch at me in the train, right? I come, I duck it, and I hit him with an overhand right. I detach his brain from his skull. He dies. Did I murder him?
At that point, I think it's different. It was self-defense.
Why is it different?
Because this guy put him on a freaking triangle chokehold and kept him there until he died.
No, before you talk, I need you to understand something. I seen the entire video, which they don't show you.
Okay.
Which Neely repeatedly now, Colin, you are a jiu-jitsu trained person. Did you see the whole video?
I have not seen the whole video, but I have seen where apparently after he choked him and he went unconscious, he did let go, and they tried to lay him on the side in what's called a recovery position.
Well, he let go other things like that. He did a recovery position a couple of times during this, but Neely kept struggling and fighting. That's why other people got involved.
Well, can I talk about the structure of the chokehold that he had him in? It's a rear naked choke. It does not cut off airflow to you. It cuts off blood flow to the brain. That's what makes you end up passing out. So if he let go, like I could put it on you, let my pressure go off, and then slowly put my pressure back on, and you would start to go black and start to fade out. And then I could let go, and all the blood would rush back to your head, and you'd come back. So there could have been a lot of that going on with him, putting him in that chokehold, and dude just in his state, he's homeless. He doesn't have the best health care. There's no telling what's going on with his health, heart wise, anything like that.
A lot hasn't come out yet. Out yet. I'm just letting you know.
In that distress situation, it could have put a lot of stress on his body and eventually killed him in that situation. But a rear naked choke, if you don't hold it for more than a minute or two straight for a person, and normally you're not in a BJJ sitting or a fight or something like that, you're not going to have a chokehold on a person for a minute or two. I mean, that's a long time. I mean, if you sit there and count a minute is a very long time for you to have somebody.
Yeah, but bottom line is this guy killed him, right? For whatever reason,
he killed him. That's fair.
Killed him. You can't go walk around being a vigilante, You just cannot.
I don't think the guy was walking around being a vigilante.
Well, this is what are the consequences of this? He killed a man.
Right.
He should have taken a different approach. He killed a guy.
What other approach can you take, Billy Ray?
Something else.
What else?
Know how we do here in New York.
What else, though?
We've all, not Colin, but you and I, we've been on trains with people going ape shit. All right. That doesn't mean I'm going to put them in a chokehold. Right. I've been in this situation many, many times, and I know you have too. It's the nature of this place.
Mm-hmm.
There are different ways of handling this.
It's gotten worse.
Well, that's in the eye of the beholder. I think it's the same. I've been here all my life, right? And it's always been bad. It is what it is. This guy took it a step too far. The guy is dead, and that can't be debated. You cannot bring this guy back to life.
What if we find out that
he be held accountable for it?
What if we find out? Because for some reason, the autopsy information is still not available publicly.
Mm-hmm.
What if we find out that it wasn't, in fact, the choke, but it was maybe a heart attack?
As a result of what he was doing. He's screwed anyway. If more information comes out that exonerates the guy, it exonerates the guy. But I don't see how that happens, really. It was a direct result of the interactions that they had.
Okay. What if Jordan Neely, I know this is a little crazy, but let's say there was an old lady on the train, which, by the way, he did in fact attack and violently hurt an elderly woman in her 70s prior to this. And he was arrested and let go, I think, a day or two later. But let's say that he got in the face of an 80-year-old woman on a train, and he screamed and he said, "I'm going to kill you." And that lady fucking looks up and she gets a heart attack and drops dead. Now, technically, his violent behavior caused that woman to get scared and get a heart attack. Is that murder?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, these are hypothetical. That it's like, what if I got up and took a shower and slipped in some shit? Like, I mean, it's like, what?
Why would you slip and shit in a shower? Who's taking shits in the shower?
And slipped or something. Like, I don't know what the point of the analogy is what or what you're trying to say. I don't know the point of it.
What I'm trying to say is that
happen. These things didn't happen, and I am not a lawyer, right? To be sitting there and saying, well, this constitutes that. These things didn't happen. What I know is they got into an altercation. He got put in a chokehold, and now this guy's dead. Given that information, this guy has some problems.
Sure.
If something else comes out after that, it is what it is. I don't know it. That might change my perception of things. But
now, can we?
What's that?
Sorry. Go ahead. Finish your point.
As of right now, that's what I think. Go ahead.
Can we also point out though about making this a media thing again and making this a media spectacle?
There you go.
All of his family all of a sudden just came out of nowhere and was like, oh, what he's a young man. He could have used this help right now. His uncle, one of the ones that's pushing it the most, just got arrested for like all these warrants and all these other things. like literally he's out here saying like justice for my nephew or whatever. And he is just as bad as a person, if not worse than Jordan Neely was. The other thing that I wanted to bring up as a point is that when George Floyd was killed, there were more than just one person. Now, the one guy kneeled on his neck, which killed him.
Right.
Yeah.
But there were at least 2 or 3 other police officers that were charged who were there that day. There were other people who were helping to resist and hold down Jordan Neely. So why is Penny the only one that's getting charged? Why is he the only one that's getting charged with this? When in the George Floyd case, we saw an Asian, I think another, and 2 white guys get charged with killing George Floyd.
Right. Absolutely. No, I think you're absolutely right.
I really would love to know how this would have played out if it was an African American gentleman choking out Jordan Neely. Like, I really would like. So this is the point I'm trying to make, is that this isn't a race issue. This is the guy murdered the other guy issue. Isn't that right?
Yeah, I agree.
This isn't a race issue. You know what was a race issue? Rodney King. That was a race issue.
Yeah.
These fucking white cops pulled that man out of the car and beat him repeatedly and didn't stop. The guy was pleading for his life and they continued to beat him. That I would consider a race issue. I think the cops were definitely angry and racist there. I just get so tired, guys, of everything being a race issue, though.
Yeah.
Like every single thing, Colin.
It's the low-hanging fruit, like Trump. It's the easy thing to get people to have an emotional reaction. It's going back to getting people to have an emotional reaction.
Right.
What's the easiest way to set somebody off now is divide them by race and then divide them by politics. You know, it's just, they're just trying to divide us more and more instead of bringing us together. And I heard you guys talk earlier and I commented in the chat about it. You guys were talking about how racial relations got really bad. You know, 9/11 brought us together.
Right.
That's the crazy thing. Under Bush, under 9/11.
Hold on. It became a race issue because everybody started attacking and freaking on Arabs, Indians that have nothing to do with that country.
Yes, we came together. White people and black people came together and started hating on a different ethnic group, right? So to speak, right? But we came together. You know, it's shown where we came together for that brief period of time. And I do believe personally that a lot of it started to go downhill when Obama was elected. And you saw a lot of the Trayvon stuff start and the BLM riots and all that type of stuff start to form and start to happen and things like that. So you can definitely see kind of in history where the line kind of mellows out and then starts to spike back up again. Because I feel like the race relations that we have now and I wasn't alive in the 60s and 70s, but the way they talk about it and the way things are being talked about on the news, we don't have people just getting randomly killed like that all the time, you know, like an Emmett Till or anything, but it's being blasted like we're back in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah. Billy Ray, I want you to comment on what Colin just said, but I have a question for you guys moving forward. But go ahead, Billy Ray.
No, I think Colin's right. And Jay Hall in the chat, he's absolutely right. There is no middle anymore, right? It's the right and the left, and that's done by design. It's done by design, you know, and that's my biggest problem with the Trump cult, you know, and it's my biggest problem with people that point at Joe Biden. Over here in the right and in the alternative media, we beat up on the left all day. It's not like the left doesn't deserve it, right? We beat them up all day, but we exonerate the right 9 times out of 10. And that's what it's designed to do. And even if you think you are outside of the system and you're operating with a free mind, you have been incorporated into this box. You're in it now, 9 times out of 10. You know, and that's what we need to realize. And I think Jay Hall hit it straight on the head. And Colin's always right 9 times out of 10.
Yeah,
Colin always has it together. So,
I think people underestimate how intelligent and smart
nobody
Colin
underestimates Colin.
Well, everybody does.
Everybody knows him over on America Unplugged. I don't know what you're doing over there, but over in my side of things, everybody knows Colin. Everybody knows he's brilliant, and everybody loves his beard. Just saying. Yeah.
And his
I trimmed it. When you said my beard was better than Tony's, I immediately went and just trimmed the beard off. I can't have it be better than Tony's. I had to sacrifice the beard for Tony.
So check this out. We're about to wrap up.
I gotta go, dude. But go ahead.
Before we wrap up, we're gonna actually go off the air to a 3-minute clip, and we're actually going off the air to the clip. So as we leave, this clip is gonna be playing. But before that, I'm gonna ask you guys, and I'll go around the horn. We'll go with Colin and Billy Ray Valentine. Then we'll say our goodbyes, and then I'll play this clip. I know it's oversimplifying this very complex and divisive conversation, but how do we fix this? Is there a fix? Is there a way of fixing? Is there a way of individually? Because I believe that as a mass it may be harder to fix, but I think if each individual person works on this on their own, maybe we can kind of, you know, figure things out on our own, and then eventually together. Like, how do we fix this, Colin and Billy Ray?
And I go first because I gotta go.
Sure.
All right. Accentuate the positives rather than the negatives. That's the best we can do. There are way more positive race relations than negative ones, but they're highlighting the negative on the news. Maybe shut off the media for a bit, you know, before you watch this stuff on whatever channel you choose. Either turn it off or sit down and fully evaluate it before you make a decision, and don't let your stereotypes get in the way, and realize that we all have some type of stereotype. You know, so cut them out. Try to do that. You know, be nice to your neighbor. You know, don't assume that they're going to be a particular way because of the way they look. You don't know what they're going to be, you know, and also, like, just spread the good news is the best thing I can say, right? Spread that everybody's cool, man. Everybody's happy, man. For the most part, people want to get along with people. We admire black people. We admire white people, right? They admire us as Latinos, right? Me and Colin and Ray, yeah, he's white and we're Latino, but it doesn't matter. We talk every day and we act like fools and it's fun, you know. Like,
I think borderline we love each other.
Now you've taken it a step too far.
Yeah, you've gone a little too far.
You know what? You shut up.
And leave it to Ray to go ahead and do that. But anyway, I got to get out of here. I got something to do.
Real quick, before you run, Billy Ray Valentine, put over your social media and stuff. And also, Billy Ray, I want you to know that the final clip that I'm going to play is from a movie in 1940, one of Charlie Chaplin's very last speaking roles. This is the final speech from the movie, The Great Dictator. If you're not familiar with it, Billy Ray Valentine, check the replay and tell me what you think of this clip, all right? But please put over your social media, my friend, and get out of here.
InfiniteFringe.podbean.com, Infinite Fringe on Apple Podcast, The America Unplugged on Apple Podcast. Take it easy, guys.
Love you, buddy.
See you, Billy.
I love Billy Ray. But Colin, your thoughts?
I got sidetracked there. What was your question again? What was the final thoughts?
Oh, basically, I was saying that I know that each person individually can work on themselves. Like, what would your thought process be? We're not leaving yet, guys, by the way. Have a couple more minutes. What would your thought process be in fixing this, making this? I know it's hard to have a whole group of people fix things. Maybe if individually we can all fix things on our own. What would you give advice? Like Billy Ray just gave us advice on maybe being a little more, open-minded about things.
Well, people don't want to hear this, but it first starts with personal accountability. You yourself have to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and have real conversations with yourself and actually take what you're saying to yourself. So if you don't want to make that change, you're never going to make that change. So if you want to watch news broadcasts and you don't want to get so emotionally reactive over these things and just as soon as you see like any type of Trump thing or anything, you're just automatically mad, you got to take a second and don't just immediately pick up your phone and start posting on social media and going on Facebook and doing all of that stuff. Breathe for a second, let it marinate. If you give it 2 or 3 days, usually different news, different points come out. Usually the truth will come out. A lot of times, what have we said over the last year about a lot of these conspiracies that they've said that weren't real, Ray? The Hunter Biden laptop, it's real.
Yeah.
Russia hoax. It was actually a hoax. All these things. So give it some time. Maybe it might not be a week or so, but don't just emotionally react. And much like our good friend Billy Ray Valentine, his 9/11 story, we've all heard it. Mm-hmm. He didn't quite believe it. And then he started to see the other things coming out, and now he's where he's at now in his journey.
That's
so you have to start with yourself, and you have to not necessarily believe everything that you say. You have to do the research. I watched that video last night on the sister. I could have just taken her video for face value, but I went and watched some other videos, and this one video, the guy put it down really nicely. He was like how I sold it to you guys. You see where he drops the bike off, you see this, he's placing it with actual logical thought instead of being oh, it's a white person thing. Oh, it's a black person thing. He's looking at the evidence as a judge or a lawyer should if it were going to go to court. We just have to be more mindful of these types of things.
Colin, so before I play this clip, because we're literally going off the air to this clip, can you hang out for a minute or two after we go off the air?
Yeah.
All right. So cool. Cough button, by the way. So I just want to say this. And can you put over any social media you want to share with the guys?
You can follow me on Twitter at Colin Wysong, COLINWYSONG. Follow the A Show at _the A Show on Twitter. Make sure you're here 7:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesdays for the A Show with the beautiful, talented, and very intelligent April Hunter and the beautiful, talented, and very gay Big Ray Hernandez. That's you, yes. And then come check out the A Show Extra at 12:00. Aaron was awesome last night, so go back and check last night's episode. Aaron Stevens showed up, and hit us with the intellectual
gimmick of the
crap that
saviors.
he just saved all of us last night.
That was really cool. Well, thanks for jumping on with me. I don't know, have you ever seen this clip from 1940, The Great Dictator?
Probably. I like Charlie Chaplin stuff, so I probably have seen it.
So I want you guys to check this out. This is a movie where Charlie Chaplin basically played a great dictator, which was a spoof off of Adolf Hitler. Now, those that know that Charlie Chaplin he was Jewish, if I'm correct. And this was a very controversial movie at the time. But the speech that he gave at the end of this movie in 1940, Colin, and off the air, I want to talk to you about it. And I would just want this to sink in as the last thing people listen to and watch. If you're watching or if you're listening to this, think about how this is, how it actually is a reflection of what's going on right now. And I guess in layman's terms, how Charlie Chaplin called it. So this is 1940, Charlie Chaplin and the Great Dictator. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back next week for the A Show Extra here on Rumble, here on YouTube, or wherever you watch this amazing show. And check out the A Show, man. It's fantastic. Colin put it all over. So we're here next week. I'll be here next week. I don't know what I'm going to talk about, but there's always something happening. Maybe we'll talk about something happy.
Listen, the debt ceiling. If Congress doesn't get it done by Friday, they leave for the week.
You know what? Maybe I'll have you come on with me about that next week on 12. Anyway, guys, The Great Dictator, 1940, Charlie Chaplin. Love each other. In the words of Bill Schuyler, in heaven, we'll see you down the road.
But I don't want to be an emperor. That's not my business. I don't want to rule or conquer anyone. I should like to help everyone if possible. Jew, Gentile, black man, white. We all want to help one another. Human beings are like that. We want to live by each other's happiness, not by each other's misery. We don't want to hate and despise one another. In this world, there's room for everyone, and the good earth is rich and can provide for everyone. The way of life can be free and beautiful, but we have lost the way. Greed has poisoned men's souls, has barricaded the world with hate, has goose-stepped us into misery and bloodshed. We have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. Our knowledge has made us cynical, our cleverness hard and unkind. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity. More than cleverness, we need kindness and gentleness. Without these qualities, life will be violent, and all will be lost. The aeroplane and the radio have brought us closer together. The very nature of these inventions cries out for the goodness in men, cries out for universal brotherhood, for the unity of us all. Even now, my voice is reaching millions throughout the world, millions of despairing men, women, and little children, victims of a system that makes men torture and imprison innocent people. To those who can hear me, I say, do not despair. The misery that is now upon us is but the passing of greed, the bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. The hate of men will pass, and dictators die, and the power they took from the people will return to the people. And so long as men die, liberty will never perish. Soldiers, don't give yourselves to brutes, men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, and what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines. You are not cattle. You are men. You have the love of humanity in your hearts. You don't hate. Only the unloved hate. The unloved and the unnatural. Soldiers, don't fight for slavery. Fight for liberty. In the 17th chapter of St. Luke it is written, the kingdom of God is within man, not one man nor a group of men, but in all men, in you. You, the people, have the power to create machines, the power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Then in the name of democracy, let us use that power. Let us all unite. Let us fight for a new world, a decent world, that will give men a chance to work, that will give youth a future and old age a security. By the promise of these things, brutes have risen to power, but they lie. They do not fulfill that promise. They never will. Dictators free themselves, but they enslave the people. Now let us fight to fulfill that promise. Let us fight to free the world, to do away with national barriers, to do away with greed, with hate and intolerance. Let us fight for a world of reason, a world where science and progress will lead to all men's happiness. Soldiers, in the name of democracy, let us all unite!